At a total project cost of $66, I want to show you how to get a 240 volt outlet installed in your garage. Because the outlet will be so close to the panel, all I needed was 4 feet of 6-3, so that's 6 gauge with 3 conductors and a ground wire. Then we have the Eaton CH 2-pole 50 amp. We have a 4-inch metal electrical box with a mud ring and then a metal faceplate. Then I'm going to use 2 3/4-inch connectors and then the NEMA 14-50. Now that adds up to the 66, but I did buy this for the project at $30 and I'll show you why. So I want to cut out the electrical box hole and I'm going to mark what I think is the stud location at the height off the floor where I want the box mounted. Now I'm going to outline, and then with my jab saw, I'll start to cut half of the box. Why am I doing half? Because I want to confirm first so I don't get done cutting my hole out and then find out I need to shift over 1/2 inch, which might then give me a gap when I put the faceplate on. So I did confirm, stud is in the right location, trace out the rest of it, do a quick fit, and confirm. Now we'll go into our panel. We need to get that 3/4-inch connector in place. I want to take that blank out of there so I can come up under with the connector. I'll show you how to do that. So I laid out my wire to know how much wire I actually need in the panel, and then I'm going to mount the connector on the wire and tighten it down. Once it's tightened down at that location, then I can feed the 6.3 Romex up through that hole. Now once you have that, you take the nut and tighten it on those threads and give it a few taps with your flathead screwdriver to tighten everything up. Then similarly for the metal electrical box, I'll first position a clamp on the wire, then position the box inside the wall. I'll position 2 screws off the front. Now that will want to pull it back in, so I'm going to do 1 more screw on the back to secure everything up. Then we'll put the nut on the inside and tap it numerous times to tighten everything up. And then also one thing not to forget, because I have forgot this before, I'm going to install 10 gauge pigtail to the metal electrical box to make sure that this is bonded or grounded. And then I'm going to tie this in with a Wago 3-wire. So I'll go ahead and bring the ground coming from the 6.3, the ground coming from the pigtail, and then this pigtail that will actually go out to the NEMA 14-50, and then we'll just have that one ground coming out that will hook into the outlet. And then last thing, I showed you that $30 additional piece in the supplies. This is actually a torquing screwdriver. So I can adjust the torque in inch-pounds to match the spec on the 1450 NEMA outlet. That gives me confidence to know I'm installing it correctly. So first up, I'll just get all the wires on each of the individual screw terminals, this top one being your ground. The sides are either one of your conductors. Red can go on one side, black on the other, or you can switch them around. It does not matter. And then the neutral would go in the bottom. If you want to torque it down till it clicks, then you want to work those wires and move those strands around and then torque it again. Do that 3, 4, 5 times before you're confident that everything's torqued correctly. It's going to be a little bit hard to get back in that box, but just take your time, don't damage the conductors, and then let the actual 4 mounting screws help you pull that outlet back onto the mud ring. So now at the panel, we'll want to get our neutral, our 2 hots, and the ground wire all broken out so we can start to run those. First up, I'm going to do my ground and then my neutral. And remember, this is the main panel, so my neutrals and my grounds are coming together on a common bus bar. If you're trying to install this from a sub panel, just keep in mind your neutrals and your grounds should be separate and only coming together at your main electrical panel. So now I'll cut those to length. This is measure twice, cut once. You don't want to cut those too short. I will get those wired and tightened into the breaker off of the bus. And then I'll tighten that down and go to 40 inch-pounds. On the side of this breaker, it'll have a reference by wire gauge to what your torque spec should be. So now we'll do our checks here. Turn our multimeter on voltage. We'll go across the ground pin to one side. 123, looking good. Ground pin to other side. 123 as well. Checking ground to neutral, nothing. Then we'll check across the two phases, expecting 240, and we get 246. So we're good.